Hey, greetings, fellow game changers. This is Rich, aka the Game Changer, coming at you again with another video. This is the integration of chess variants, abstraction, and war video. We're looking at an integration of abstract armies and different variants together. So this is what we're looking at here with this video, and the thing that we're focusing with this video here, I did things on pawns and things to consider and why. The thing we're looking at here this time is having a balanced game or a fair game, some way to have it through different approaches to have it so that the initial setup works out well and how you do it, or even if the sides are unbalanced, what is a way to do it? When I say unbalanced here, it could be favoring one side more than the other, but beyond that, which could be useful if you figure out for handicapping. But main thing here is, how do you set up this board over here? See this board that we have? How in the heck do you set up this board over here? You see this board in pieces in such a way that you're going to get a game that's competitive, interesting, etc. That is the burning question you're looking at right here. So, regarding that, we have our little checker and our note things that we're having had. So there have been a number of ways that you've done historically this way, and as we go further down, we're running into the challenges that the chess variant world has faced in regards to doing things. And we'll look at the different approaches here, and then I'll discuss the unbalanced one when the values are not known. So the three categories we have here are if you look at this thing here, if you look at it, identical pieces per side. You have the balanced pieces per side. You have different pieces per side, and one where the values are known. So there's things you can do with that here. Then there's the other one where you have the different pieces per side. I mean, when I say different pieces per side, it may end up they're identical, but they may go different. The other side, where you don't know what the value pieces are, like when you're going in this area of, like, you know, what the heck is a shogi piece here? Wow, look at that. They decided to partner together. I want to do that. You have shogi pieces, and you want to pit it off against a checker. How would you do that? That area, that last part, is a big bottleneck for the chess variant world. In addition to forming strategy and everything else, also building games and doing it, it's a bottleneck. So if you can work away past that, that works out well. So historically what we had here, let's look at the balance setup, which I had here. I probably should have put this up here, but we're going to go here. We have like a bullet point, so you can see where we are in the presentation. Identical pieces per side. The very first one you look at was the mirrored side. Mirrored placement. Like black's over there, white's over here, and you have it that way. So one thing is they're on the board set up. That's historical. That's what you have here. Another way, an offshoot of that would be, which I proposed, was something else here. I proposed this thing would go away. Please stop. Let's make it go away. Nope, sorry. Hang on. I don't want IRC open. Bear with me. Something else here. We'll save that. Okay. I hope that doesn't pop up again. Sorry about that. Anyhow, one piece at a time. Okay, we have that also. Set formations. If you would have that, you would have a set pool of the way pieces can be arranged. And that way, you would have it, and you could prove across, like in chess, you could have like the rook in the back row. I was doing something called formations chess. That's something I was looking at, actually, and decided, you know, I went to what we have here as the approach for it here. So the other one would be for the setup here. We're looking at balanced side. The other one is the one piece at a time method. You had developed, remember what we have? We have a setup area on the board, which we're defining. Okay, we have the setup of pieces on the board. This area here, whatever else we're looking at. And what you do, use that setup area that you've defined, and that can be also a balancing mechanism based on what it was here. When you have one piece at a time, you're going to take one piece, put it on the board, and go there like that. Let's say black one first. And then white could go here and put it anywhere in the setup area. So that's one thing to do. You do one piece at the time. You set it up, you move it there. And the other thing is that you could draft, you put them that way. You have each have separate pool, or you could have, for example, pieces from a common pool. And then somebody else would pull off, and it's symmetric. That, from a common pool, actually lends more into the unbalanced side, but you could add restrictions of classes, like the bishop piece, you have so many. We're dipping a little bit into the unbalanced side here, but we'll get to that in a minute, and that's drafting. We'll discuss that a bit here. Another method they have here is the Arima method, and this is from the game Arima. That's why I call it the Arima method. In that, it was a good way to balance this, and actually Omar, who worked on Arima, his game, which is a game where you're trying to get pawns across the board and they move differently and all that, trying to beat the AI. His approach was this. You go ahead, white sets up his side first, okay? Sets up his side first, and then the second player sets up theirs. It is a disadvantage for the player to go first, but it's a balancing mechanism. He had it in order to tax the AI, so you could think like that there. So that is another way to do it if you have like exactly the same forces. And wow, look, the bishop decided, the rook decided to do it that way. So anyhow, another area you have here is the feudal or the Savassi. Savassi being the chess-like game from Game of Thrones. The other one was that you have a big screen between the middle. Feudal use this, and you set up your armies, you set up everything else simultaneously hidden from the information from your opponent. Adds a little bit more randomness. Another way to do this here is to take the screen out, and you have the setup real time. You can give people a chess clock or something else, they have it, or the player sets up their pieces first. Ends up doing, you can watch it, and there's a real-time element to it. Having a chess clock and you start and time winds down simultaneously would be one way to do that there. So those are some. Mind you, what I'm talking about here, there may be other things to do here regarding this, what we're doing here. This is just some ideas I'm proposing here. Try to organize a bit here. So that's one of them here. Another one we have here would be unbalanced sides. It means where you're not going to have the symmetry in the pieces like you do in chess in the classic games as you see here. You won't have that. Okay. With that there's issues regarding it. However, we have the different pieces per side, the unbalanced side. We're going to move this down here just to mark. This is where we are currently. We're in this part of the presentation here. Go like that there. Okay. Different pieces per side. It means you don't have the symmetric setup like you have over here and here. In that there is a number of ways you would introduce that would have a balancing effect here in the game. This is what you're looking at. One of them, if you know the value of pieces here, you can allocate a certain amount of money to players. One more thing I want to add here regarding this initial setup, which I said earlier. You have two factors here, where the pieces go and what the army consists of. I should have said at the beginning, I don't think I did, but anyhow. Let's get back to this here. You have the buying pieces. If you know what the point value of everything is, and this is like one of the holy grails of individuals who do chess variants and working on things together. One of the holy grails, and it's a challenge to get happening. One of the things that you want to do is that you can offer buying pieces. Everybody can buy them alternating one at a time or simultaneously. You would buy pieces, and on that, you would buy them and build your army. Simultaneously by a number one of these methods here that you had set up before simultaneously. Like also the balanced setup method could be another way to discuss how you do setup. Okay. You can buy at that or during the game. You can have, let's say, for example, you have certain squares. Well, I'm just going to mark that on board. Let's say we had that piece there, for example. And let's say, for example, you have it as a piece that captured. You can have it as space to occupy. You get currency in the game to buy units. You can buy units during the game by capturing certain spaces or certain treasure, loot. You can do that if you know what the value of pieces are. And that is one of the challenges, because the other thing is the context of position and play setup can determine it too, and it's an endless debate here. So it's a bottleneck you have here. The other thing is, remember what I said, I think you have checkers. You could do a build piece format, meaning, do this off, that you take one, and a piece consists of a composite of a range of pieces together. When you have that composite of the range of pieces together that you're looking at with this composite, you can then build pieces, but then what their makeup there? You would have to know the value of the different parts, like moving in a straight line. How much is that worth versus diagonal? Capturing, extra abilities that you have. You can do that way. So if you know what the values is, you can have unbalanced sides, have some certain things like that here. Also, if you know what the values are, you can lend a handicapping. That's what we had here. Another thing is the acquiring the set of pieces at once. You have set armies. You have a set army that's worth so many points there. It's bought in bulk, and you combine it with like what I mentioned about earlier for formations. There could be certain one, if you buy it one way, it's worth more. If pieces are transposed, let me do this here. So we go here. If let's say that's transposed and that starts out there, it's worth a different value. So you can do that also. You can have it with a set configuration or not here. The other thing I have here with unbalanced sides, if you know what the value is, you can create the common pool of pieces. And remember what I mentioned earlier about the draft? You can do the draft here also regarding it here. So that's another way you have, and you're drafting for your army, and then you build by the various methods we described before in the balanced setup. So one last thing I have here, and I'm sure you can think of other ones, feel free to put it before. which actually lends to something else here. If you don't have a balanced mix of pieces, and a weakness of it is that it may not exactly be fair, is the auction. If you know what the point value is, you can then, the reason why you know what the point value is not so that players have money or something else and you allocate, is that you have a pool of pieces that they can bid from. And they buy it in your auction points, so you make sure that you have a balanced number of points of pieces there regarding it. So that's one thing you have there. Now let's go into the great unknown, the great bottleneck, and let's see if there's several ways to get past it. You have all these components here, and I'm talking about integrating all these wonderful pieces here, and doing it, and proceeding bravely into the unknown, without knowing what the value of the pieces are in relation to one another. The Chancellor Archbishop pieces that we have here, these guys here, these wonderful pieces, not the wall, not the Castle Panic wall, which I got somebody beautifully made. These pieces, the relationship to one another, one's 7, one's 8, you don't know. But you want to play a game to do this. Get past this bottleneck so you can see how the internet, and maybe you can determine the value of the pieces. By the way, that value is important also if you know it, because it helps you determine when building scenarios and how to do things, and also formulating strategy on capture, etc. So it's useful, but you may not have it. So what do? One of the initial attempts is just to take a bundle of pieces here, and then you auction them off. What somebody can do here is one of the method is I'm bidding 5, 10, 15 points. You're bidding the amount of reserve. And then you draft. You're bidding for the right to take a piece out of the pool. That would work relatively well. The other one is a particular piece goes up. The players auction for it. So that is one of the things you're looking at about the auction thing. Actually, the bidding for a position is actually a good way to do that. You're bidding to draft pieces into it. So that's another way here. And that would be one where the players have it. You would bid, and then you could bid, and then either put it into a reserve, in which case you do a number of methods. Remember, the one piece at a time, ARIMA method, feudal, whatever else, or real time. You bid and put it into reserve, or you bid and put on the board at the same time in the setup area. That's one-way method. The other method I mentioned before in another video, not part of the series, so I'm going to introduce it here, and this is a Christian Freeling term. I had it as a limited Dutch offer, which is what I called it, is the Marchese Method. Marchese Method. In that, one player sets up the entire game. Put the pieces wherever they want to put them. Let's do... Yeah, actually do that if you had it set up that way. And go this way here, sets up everything else. Whatever else, decides he wants to throw, I don't know, let's say we throw these guys in here. Whatever else. Goes a line of checkers. This is a piece that has 20. It's indestructible. Gets to shoot nukes, but has a disadvantage. Whatever. Anyhow, one other thing. Tower piece. I just made up something there. You have that there. And then the other person picks what side to play. This one here, the disadvantages to the person setting up. Disadvantage to the person setting up. Okay, they had disadvantage, so... Let me grab this. And I think I dropped the checker, so let's grab this out of here. Yeah, by the way, we're down to here. Pardon me, I just got so wrapped up in that there. So we'll move that there, and it doesn't like it. So let's move it out of the way, and move this on top. Hopefully it fits. Will it fit? It didn't like it. Oh well, I don't care. Anyhow. So one of the advantages you have here is that it allows you to somebody else to do it. The disadvantage here for the person setting up is that the optimal position would be a draw. They're going to be a disadvantage. However, that second place offset, like in the ARIMA method where a person goes first, is that it's a automatic handicapping, because in this method the person's setting it up here, which was developed by somebody who was scheming in checkers. Okay. Scheming in checkers. What you have here regarding it is that they were scheming in checkers. So the end result is that, yes, you have a disadvantage for being the person that sets up. However, you know the position better. So that's an offset balance. But even that might not be considered fair. So what we have here is an unbalanced side silence unknown, is that you can, by whatever method, drafting, Marchese method, where somebody sets up one thing. And this is something else that kind of fits here, but a little bit different, is the idea of person playing both sides. Both players will play both sides. Two games, you play a different. You can have a random mix of pieces, and you have to figure out some way of moves or something else to differentiate, and then you weigh how the players play both sides. So it allows you to do things by random method, everything else having it, to allow something else so that you can have unbalanced setups and do that, even if you don't know the value of pieces there. So this is what we're looking at here. Pushing about 15 minutes on this video. Feel free to post some comments below, share this, discuss this. If you have any other ideas to do regarding it, I'm just putting this out here as a way to do this and combining these wonderful pieces together in ways, whether you know the value of the pieces or you don't. In this last one I shared with you of the different methods that we're currently into, is a way to actually get playing without worrying about the bottlenecks. So anyhow, we'll be sharing other videos and other things related to concepts, different type of pieces, different type of things here. I'll be looking at the role of luck and how to do that. I'm looking at mutators and other things. So anyhow, that's it. Let me get this video uploaded and I'm out of here. I do appreciate you taking your time to watch this. Feel free to share some thoughts below. I don't know how many people are going to get it, but this is part of a series of videos as my framework for doing this, for the reasons I said before. So, okay, I'm out, and I appreciate your time. So I do want to thank you for watching. By the way, this is the new computer, so I want to hopefully feel free to share some comments. Hopefully it runs okay. So I do want to thank you for watching. May your die always roll 5. And remember, don't hate the player, change the game. Okay, I'm out, and I thank you for your time. We'll be uploading the video soon, and I gotta get some food and get ready for the night. So, appreciate the time. Thank you. Take care.